Okay, so I will talk today about the development tools, which is like this built-in tools inside LibreOffice. Uh, a little bit intro how what I think that a lot of people uh, don't know about this, especially if they are not using the LibreOffice a lot. So first, how to enable it? So it is this usually inside the tools, and you have like these development tools, and it will pop up like a sidebar. And with these development tools, what they are for is like you can check all the variables and the state of the document, all the what are the properties, variables, and the methods of practically what is seen. So first, on the left side here, there are some uh, already shortcuts to objects that you can inspect. And on the right side, this is like the inspector where you can see the object. So by default, it is the document. And you can see here on the right side which uh, the name of the object that is inspected, so the class name. Sorry. This class name can be searchable inside the code, so you can, for example, go and just git grep, and you will find where this class name is set. Let's see. So this is this here. So we can go directly to the class which implements this document. Yeah. Then on the left side there are, as I said, a lot of shortcuts already. So for example, here are automatically some paragraphs. This is inside writer. So if we have multiple paragraphs, we have to refresh. We can see these paragraphs already here, and we can already directly inspect those objects. And there are also other like shapes, tables, frames, graphic objects like images, and embedded objects like charts, and of course also styles. But if we go to, for example, in for spreadsheets, this selection here, this will be different. Yeah. So by default, you have document, which, by the way, here the implementation of the document is different because it's Excel, it's calc, so the main document used here is different. But here we have like sheets and sheet, and then whatever is on the sheet we can inspect here. Okay, so let's get back to the document. And now I want to talk about this right side here, which inspects the current document. And let's just go back to document again. So it's SVX text document implementation. And first, probably we can look at the services. This shows all the services that are implemented by this implementation, the object. And as we can see, this is like text document, text generic text document, and Office document. So what does this mean? This means that these are the services this document implements, which are, I think, defined here. So these are UNO services that are supported by this implementation itself. But if we go here, we can see what exactly these are. So if we check what the UNO interface for text document is, just okay, generic text document. Generic text document, we see that it implements a lot of interfaces optionally or not, and it has various properties and so on. And if you look at the Office document, like similar. So we have a lot of interfaces. There's like Boolean properties and so on. So we should over here. So we see that these are the services that are implemented, and a lot of interfaces should be implemented by this implementation object. Yeah. So the interfaces are then listed here. So we now know what these interfaces mean. And this is exactly what are interfaces that are defined in these services. And this is the list of them. Yeah. So what can also happen is that they are duplicated because we implement 3 services with this object, and we have like duplicated interfaces that we are required to implement here. The more interesting thing is probably the properties tab here, and this is where this is mostly you can inspect what this implementation is implementing, which is not really what is usually you want to figure out, but probably you want to see what the current implementation, what properties are implemented by this object. So if we look at this exactly, there's a list of properties, and down here you have like this. When you click something, it will just show the content. So this is the content of properties. So this we have a list of all the properties that are implemented. It's not just properties, but there's also other things in here. For example, if we are implementing a list and like an enumeration or an named container, also those will be shown in here, and you can then inspect it in further. Right. So now with this you can see like what the top level document, the properties are implemented, and besides this we can also go then further. If there is an properties that is also an object, we can inspect that further down, and again and again. This way we can know how to traverse to some specific thing that we want to are interested in. Maybe before we continue with this, I will just also mention these methods. The methods just states what are the methods supported by this, implemented by this implementation object. Best is to sort this by class name. And each interface that defines something, there should be a method implemented. So we can see, for example, for each searchable interface, or there is an implementation method that is defined here, and we can see what the return types of these methods are and what parameter it needs have to for calling it. The in means, of course, input parameter. There's also output parameters out. But yeah, and this is like we can inspect and see what are the problems. So if so for example, if we want to write some test, we can just inspect the objects here and then write our test and just use these methods or properties to access the object. Now back to properties here. Okay. So next thing is like, as I said, you can maybe I should explain this. So what the parameters of these properties can be? So usually they can just be like long, short strings. This is like normal, and then there are also structs which are defined inside Uno. So we can inspect those. You can just see it's a struct as a value here because it's not doesn't really have some specific value, but we can like open the struct and we can see what the content of the struct is. So this struct, we know that this struct is like CSS locale object has like three variables which are strings, and these are the what are they filled with. There's also sequences in here. So sequence like a list. In this case, this is a sequence. Zero means like it's an empty sequence, so there is nothing in this sequence. So we cannot. If there would be some members of the sequence, we could also see the sequences members, but currently there is no, so we cannot expect this. And then there are also objects. Objects are we can show. Oh, here's for example a sequence with a one member, and we can just see here is zero at index 0. This is the configuration. Type string is the content of this sequence. Is there something else besides object? Yes, of course. For example, if we have, let's just go and see what the paragraphs are there. So we'll just change to the implementation to the paragraphs. And as it says, there's a possibility to just also see the enumeration. So when we have a paragraph has multiple paragraphs. Paragraphs objects has multiple paragraphs. So in this case, 4, like in the document itself, and they're like 0 at 0 index. There is some paragraph object and 1 and so on. So also these are shown here, and inside we can just go and look. If we go here, expand the tree, we can show what is this exactly at the 0th index, what this object is. And so you can see the content here. And again, we have properties and whatever it contains in this object. And if you want to go to another, then it's like here. Okay, one useful feature is that probably a lot of people are not aware is that if you want to move this object to top level, so like this zeroed one, you can go and right click and inspect or click here, and now this object will be top level. Yeah. So it's not top level of the tree. So if you are just interested of this specific object and aren't interested in just all the objects, you can just inspect it, and you can go back with like this back switch. So again, inspect, and then you can inspect this object. And again, just see this is SWX paragraph. We can also again go into the code and search the implementation of this, and we get where this is implemented in the code also. So we can inspect this. Let's see if there's something special inside. Not really, but for example, if you wanted to go, we currently have, for example, zero paragraph. So this is the first paragraph. For example, let's see if we can find what the content of this is. And so here we can go down. So there is a text range for this paragraph. We can again inspect it and remove the clutter. And then we can go and see, okay, the chart for the font use here is like this one. And then we can go to, I think, text. Even without it, we have like this string property, and this string property as a thr. This is exactly this context here. But this is very useful if you want to inspect what the objects, the object tree, or just the model itself with this tool. Okay. What else can we say? Of course, there's also styles. You can inspect the styles. The styles are like you can see this is an index container. Index container means that it's a container of indices. So you have 0, 1, 2, and so on. And at the same time, it's also a name container. You see here, name container is that for some name there is an object. So we have like the name in this case is what is the name of the style. So this is part of what containers inspecting the containers are supported. And again, we can see what are the content of these containers in here. And then, of course, what are the for this, we have currently a X-style family implementation. So a family of styles, we see all the properties that are relevant for styles. Okay, there's another, I didn't yet mention, another feature that is very useful. Let's have some rectangle here. So for example, we want to see okay, if you want to somehow get this string of this rectangle here, we could go and probably one thing has to learn that it will never automatically update, but we have to always update it manually because of performance reasons. But okay. What I wanted to say is, if you want to inspect this shape here, and one possibility is to just go here and find this shape, and then you can inspect it. But this is not always possible, or it's not a very convenient. So what is better here to do is you have like this current selection possibility. So if you enable this, it will always show in this inspector what the current selection object of the current selection is. So you can, for example, select this and you can inspect it. So in this, now we will select the shape, and here under, because it always shows the selection. So selection can be multiple objects. So the first object is like this shape that exactly which was selected here, and we can inspect it. And if you want to know the string, again, this text as string. So this is the text content of the shape itself. So this is how we can probably like inspect most of the objects that are inside of the document, and it's very useful, especially if you are writing a new implementation and need some information from the model, or if you want to write a test, you can just go here and inspect the content easily and then write the test. I think that this is most of the things that are possible. So I think I'm done here. So any questions, please?
Okay. Thank you, Quikee. Michael, question.
Sure. Oh, cool. Thanks, Quikee. Really great talk. One of the things I arrived late, was pointing out that TDF, of course, TDF's donors funded much of the feature. So thank you to those.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Shoot, go for it.
Yes, I also in the past LibreOffice conferences I presented this tool, but mostly from how it was implemented. I just wanted to remind again how that this exists for the people that are new or not, and that.
Yes, definitely. No, that's absolutely brilliant, and I think it's good to have those two things, isn't it? Not only how it's implemented to improve it, so other people can jump in. And I don't know if that has happened. I don't know if other people have jumped in and improved it. But anyway, but then of course also how it's used. And I had another question, if I may, just to
Sure.
jump in. So the accessibility interfaces are of course all UNO interfaces, and they intersect quite significantly with these other APIs. But of course, it's a horrifying thing to use an accessibility API to do any kind of document automation, and not something we should encourage, in my view. But I just wonder if other people had other views about that, and or whether there's some way we could add a button that would allow you to walk the UNO accessibility hierarchy that would come with a massive caveat dialogue saying, under no circumstances use this for scripting or whatever, because it may change, or something like that. I don't know if you have thoughts on that, or other people do.
I'm not really familiar with accessibility objects here. I don't think you can even access them.
Michael, do you have a thought? Michael Whittle?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
That's a good question. I think the accessibility interfaces there mostly provide methods. So if there's a way to call methods from this, it might be helpful. I don't think they really have much properties by themselves. So if this is mostly about showing properties, I don't know how useful it is. If it's possible to call methods actually interactively, or somehow display the result of calling methods, that might be quite useful actually. But that's just the first thought.
Makes sense, Quikee? We don't have ways to call methods, I assume.
We can just inspect methods, but not actually call them. So maybe
Right. Okay.
look at
it. Interesting. We could, though, I guess, track accessible events and hold a reference to the peer for a while that emitted that, and then let people inspect them. But as you say, without properties, it's a little bit annoying. Although, yeah, I guess there are a lot of these methods that are like single accessor methods, get foo, that just return a value. And yeah, interesting. That was my question. It wasn't a very good one, but I tried. Thanks, Quikee. Good talk.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Quikee. So, any questions?
Let's poll people, if you would, Anna.
Yeah, I'm doing. Attila? Not POC or POC?
Do pick people, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. No questions.
Okay. Thank you. Bayram, questions? Aaron, questions? Kellen, questions?
Yeah, I actually use it during the week to inspect charts. And now that Michael has mentioned it, there isn't any distinction between published things and unpublished things. Is that something that even exists at this level that could be queried to show which things are like supported properties and metas and which things are unpublished and therefore theoretically you're not supposed to use? Does that exist as a thing?
Good question. I'm not sure. Probably there is a possibility to get this information.
Yeah, just those accessibility APIs, for example, were unpublished at some point. So, the ideal says don't use them, but I guess you don't see that in this inspector. Okay.
And I don't know if it's even in the type database, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Does it even exist there? Does it exist anywhere except a comment?
Yes, be interesting to know. Where is Stefan? Stefan is not with us. Never mind. Yeah. It should be easy enough to add to the XML descriptions, I guess. But, yeah. Good thought.
Yeah, and that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Kellen. Darshan, questions? Elliot, questions? Jaume, questions?
No questions, thanks.
Joao?
No, thanks.
Mevan, questions?
Yes, regarding scripting. So Michael told that we should not use those API for scripting, but those are still available for scripting. So I'm wondering which API should we use when scripting them? Because those aren't the main ones that we should use in scripts.
I think that the accessibility shouldn't be used. If I'm not mistaken.
But these are the main document access APIs here. These are fine to use. Obviously, the published ones, if we can work out which ones they are. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Pedro, questions?
No questions, thanks.
Thank you. Michael, questions?
No, thank you.
Raj, questions? Timur, questions?
Yes, I have something.
Okay.
So I would assume that this tool is used in core development, and I'm not asking for that. I'm asking on how could it be, because I cannot grasp now. Could it be used to help in QA in triaging core issues, like if we want to append the level of triaging apart from looking, confirming, detecting, testing, is there something more to it to do with this from the standpoint of QAs who wouldn't know about development?
Well, yeah, this is used in development, but it's not just limited. So for triaging can also be useful. I don't know if the interface here is not good enough for like the QA people to grasp. But for example, you can, if there is something wrong, you can, for example, get selection and check what the, for example, the properties here are, and maybe if they are wrong class, you can see this here. For example, if I know that I worked a lot with this Teams, I use it a lot to check what the values of if the team is set for this. For example, in this case, for the character, and as you can see, this is currently not set, and I used this a lot to see if the teaming is working correctly or not. And I think this is what also in a similar fashion that QA people could check this.
I guess you can see more of the fundamental document structure than you can see in the navigator here too. And you can also see that, I mean, what looks like a box, a rectangle, might not be the same kind of rectangle as, say, when you round tripped it. So you can see the C++ class name there at the top. And so maybe, it behaves differently having saved and reloaded or something. And then you can see that actually the underlying C++ class changed over that operation when it shouldn't. And why did that happen? I suppose. Is that reasonable? Or, right? You can imagine lots of uses for it in QA. Yeah. Does that help, Tua? Or is it nonsense, Quikee?
No, it's
Yeah,
just that it would be good to, for example, during work, I don't know, maybe it's too much, but for example, if Quikee during some long work, maybe figures out few examples on how the part that was left from QA to devs, how could it be done like before, then maybe to like get one of those meetings to get some 5-minute presentation or some examples of what, because it's all about raising the level if it's possible, like and understanding that for me who sees this, it's like a sea of opportunity, but for me it's not easy to use.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Timur. Thank you, Quikee. And the last one in my list is Vivek. Do you have questions?
No question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Anna. Thanks, Quikee. Good work. Bye.
Bye.